So over the last few months, I've been making quite a big change with my agency in terms of how we're actually aiming to make money. And this is something which a lot of my old mentors and a lot of the training that I had would probably, disagree with. It goes against a lot of that, but I've seen it done a few times now, and I've actually had quite a bit of success with it. And the more I think about it, the more I just know that this is the right way to run a business and the right way to definitely run an agency. And I think a lot of people are running businesses and agencies in a way that is similar to what I was doing previously. And I want to discuss this in this video because I think that it could open a few people's eyes and see that, their business could actually be quite a lot better, a lot stronger. They could make a lot more money from this. They could affect a lot more lives from this, and it's just an all round a better approach to run an agency. And so the thing that I'm really focusing on here is the sort of two businesses that I see. It's a business that has quite a high churn rate. They sign quite a lot of clients. It's all about how many clients can you sign every single month. And then a business where there is a really focus heavy approach to the product where, it doesn't matter if you sign 10 clients every single month and that's the goal, because the ultimate goal is to make sure that clients do not leave, and the lifetime value and the churn rate of the business is the most important thing. And so churn is one of those metrics where if you improve it, everything else in the business would improve. So if you halve your churn rate, then you're going to have twice as much revenue. If you double your sales conversion rate, you're gonna have twice as many sales. It's one of those metrics where if you get it right and if it improves by 10%, it's going to affect the bottom line by 10%. And because it improves revenue by 2 times, it's probably going to improve profit at least more than that, maybe 3 or even 4 times. So it's one of those metrics where if you get it right and if you focus on it, you're going to get quite a lot of good results from this. And so I've got a few reasons that I want to go through here on why I think making this transition into focusing on the product rather than focusing on sales and just getting as many clients through the door as possible makes the most sense for the business, and it's probably a better business to run. And firstly is that you're going to make more money. It's as simple as that. If your product is good and your churn rate is low, so your clients go from staying on for 3 months to now staying on for 6 months, you are going to make so much more money from that. The cost for a business to go and find a new client and to onboard a new client is usually pretty high. If you are doing cold emails, then you've got to pay for the domains, the accounts, you've got to pay for the time it takes for your appointment setter to go and set those. If you're doing those, obviously it's the time out of your day. Then you have to pay a salesperson or even just the time for you to take the sales call. And so there's a lot of costs there involved in actually finding a client and onboarding one and signing a client, right? If you can now make it so you can make twice as much money or the same amount of money again as signing a new client and it doesn't cost you anything, this is a huge, huge win for the business, because now you no longer have this cost of acquiring the client, but you're now going to get the same reward again as signing a client if you've doubled the LTV of your clients, right? And so you double your LTV, you go from, let's say, $3,000 per client to $6,000 per client. And now it's not as if this is, a double amount of profit, because that cost of, let's say, maybe $500 to sign the client, it's now still the same. It's still going to cost you $500 to sign that client, but you're going to make 6,000 of it, not 3,000. So your profit margins are going to rise as well. And so just in every aspect of actually focusing on lowering churn, improving LTV, improving your product, obviously, which is, the thing that actually drives those metrics up, that's going to be the thing that makes you more money in the long run. And it's not about signing the next client or getting the next setup fee or, getting in a $1,000 payment. It's about making sure that consistently all of your clients are now paying you twice as much as they were before. And the next thing is that if you're focusing on sales and not the product, very, very quickly, your reputation as a business owner is going to drop so quickly. Let's say you are dealing with gym owners and you are dealing with people who, own gyms, and you're going to sell Facebook ads to them, right? If you over-deliver on your promise, or under-deliver on your promise, so let's say you say, I'm going to give you this many leads, this many appointments, but you don't actually do this, then what's going to start to happen is these people are going to talk to other people that they know in that niche. So gym owners know other gym owners. They're in networking groups, they're in Facebook groups, they actually know local people around who own gyms because they want to help, they want to learn more and they want to share their information. And so there's a lot of gym owners who will go to, conventions and they learn things and they go to events and they discuss things. If your name gets brought up as someone who sells a bad product, or your business gets that reputation of being, quite a lousy product where it doesn't actually deliver on the things that you said you were going to deliver on, then very, very quickly, when you start to reach out to these business owners, you start to reach out to, gym owners who are in a similar area or who have spoken to previous clients of yours, then they're just not going to respond to you. They're just not going to be receptive to you. And very quickly, if, let's say they jump on a sales call and then they realize like, hang on, I actually have heard about this business before. Now it's starting to ring a few bells. I know someone who had a similar situation and was on a similar sales call. They went ahead with it and didn't actually get the result they wanted. Then you're basically screwed. Like there's no coming back from that. I don't know how you would actually rescue, your reputation from that if the niche that you're reaching out to, the industry, simply just thinks that your product is no good anymore, and all of the claims and all the promises you're making just won't happen. I wouldn't know what to do in that situation. I feel like you'd have to just rebrand or just completely start again or something. And so going down that path of focusing on sales and focusing on just making sure that you get the sale done no matter what, and which sometimes leads you to under deliver, is such a massive risk to the business, and it's going to lead you to have such a short life in this game. And the third point that I want to make is that it's just simply unethical to run a business in this way. If you are telling people that you're doing one thing and you're not going to do that, and this person is paid for that, it's basically a version of a scam. If you're going to give an offer and say, we can give you 10 appointments a month, and you don't actually think that that is possible, or you think that there's an outside chance that could happen, like it's not actually, a good chance of happening, then you're basically scamming people, right? If you have a long history of client after client that has had, some kind of promise given to them and the promise wasn't delivered, then you just shouldn't be offering that. You should just be focusing on the actual product. If you're selling Facebook ads, if you're selling Google ads, YouTube ads, whatever it is, like the leads, appointments, whatever, you need to focus on that product first and make sure you can actually deliver on it first. If you can't, then you just simply go for an approach where you just say, look, I will do some work for you and we will just figure out some kind of money where you pay us per lead or per appointment. Then if it goes terribly wrong, that person is not in the red at all, right? There's no downside to them at that point. This means that you can focus on your craft. You can make sure that you're getting appointments in. You can make sure that you're actually, generating enough skills and enough knowledge for you to increase on the product that you have. But you're not actually putting someone in the red, right? There's no sort of risk on their side. And so at that point, it's a bit of a win-win. It also works that kind of model for businesses that are doing pretty well and people that are, making quite a lot of money, because it's such an easy sell. And if you're good at your service, then you can charge a little bit more than a retainer. That's basically what we do on our side. But if you're just not delivering on your promise, then it's very unethical. And, it's probably not a business that's you're going to be looking forward to working on. You're not going to be getting any sort of fulfillment, any sort of meaning from it, because it's basically just you versus everyone else. And you're not really working together to actually improve that person's business in return for you obviously getting paid quite handsomely. And another point is that if you ever have the opportunity to sell your business, if you have a business that has quite a low churn rate and is really focused on the product and has a reliable and consistent way to deliver on results for these clients, and you can keep them on for 12 months at a time, that is such a huge asset for the business, and you can sell that business for so much more than if you have a very high churn businesses where the clients are just coming in and then coming straight back out, and the lifetime value of those clients is very, very low. Now, the reason for this is because when you come to sell a business, you have what's called the multiplier. And this is basically how much revenue the business makes or how much profit it makes. And then some kind of multiplier on that is how much the business is actually worth. Let's say if the business makes, $100,000 profit a year and the multiplier is 10, then the business is going to be worth $1 million, right? And so that's how much you could actually sell that business for. And so if you own that business, you are quite literally a millionaire, because someone out there would probably be willing to pay $1 million for this business. And so you have a business that has a super high LTV, super low churn rate, this is going to be a massive contributor to having quite a high multiplier. But if you have a business that just recycles out clients and, it's all just about sales, then that multiplier is going to be so low. It's a very cash heavy business. There's not really any assets at play. There's no reputation of the business. There's no sort of brand identity. There's no, customer loyalty, anything like that. This is going to be things that are all going to drive down your multiplier. And so you now don't have an asset, right? It's all good making, $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 every single month. But if you have a business which also makes that kind of money and it is sticky as well, and your clients actually stay around and you have that high LTV, then you also have that same amount of cash coming in. Plus, you also have an asset there that's worth millions and millions of dollars. And so you could easily have a business that makes like $50,000 a month, and you could quite literally be a multimillionaire, right? Obviously, that's quite a lot of money, making like $500,000 every single year. But in terms of profit, it's probably not that high, but you would still be a multimillionaire based on that. And there's a lot of people who have had, sort of a high churn business, and the only way of actually, selling that business is by actually selling the clients and by moving the clients onto someone else. Because let's say if you had like 30 active clients, right? And a lot of these clients are probably going to churn out within the next 3 months or so. What's going to very quickly happen is, if someone buys that asset, that business, they are going to have to basically be selling again and again and again to actually, fulfill that amount of clients and to keep that up. And so they could only make the money from that certain client, right? They could only make money from those guys. And so eventually, if they don't have the right systems in place, if they don't just keep selling, then that business is very, very quickly going to die. Whereas if you sell a business with the whole process involved and they have a super, super high LTV and there's a very specific way that the product works, the brand's got a good name, then this business suddenly becomes so much more valuable and you can sell the business as a whole. You don't need to just transfer clients over because, eventually those clients are just going to churn. Whereas the ones that you have now, there's a chance that you could have clients on board that are going to stay for another 12 months at least with this right product. And obviously, if you have the right SOPs, the right processes, everything else, this is a super, super valuable way to actually run a business and to obviously sell the business and make a load of cash. And if you look at people in the traditional business sense, that don't run sort of agencies and SMMAs and all that kind of stuff, the way that a lot of these guys make money is by exiting their business and selling it for millions and millions of dollars. Where in the agency game, there's a lot of people that have made a lot of cash by, having a very a cash heavy business that have just had agencies where, businesses are coming in and they're coming out straight away, but they never actually sell that for millions of dollars. Where if you look at someone like, for example, the guy who sold Twitter to Elon Musk for like billions and billions, yes, that company is making money, probably not like a crazy amount of money, but he was still able to sell it for like $40 billion, right? Because it's an asset, because there's a lot of stickiness to it, because people that use that product stay around for years and years and years. And so if you have been focusing on sales, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But you just need to make sure that your product is like the number one focus and you have clients that are going to stick around for a while because your product is so good and the service you provide is incredibly valuable. So yeah, that's it for today. Cheers.